All right, I'll call it order to City of Manistee Housing Commission regular board meeting at 12 p.m. I'll take roll call. Steve Fonstad.
Here.
Jim Smith.
Here.
Karen Goodman. Here. Jeannie Pelton. Here. And then from staff, I have myself, Cindy Scott, and Michelle Ray, and Kevin Helminiak. And then on Zoom, I have joining us Jeff Klug and Mark Zahaki. Are you guys able to hear us? Jeff, you're on mute.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep, I hear you well.
Okay, thank you.
Amendments to the agenda. Public comment on gender-related items. Consent agenda. Approval of minutes. Go ahead.
I don't make, well, we can do them both together. Don't we do them both together?
We can.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for February 21st, 2023. Maybe because they're different months, we'll just separate them.
But I do have a change I want to make on
Okay,
the
so-
March one.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for February 21st, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On the March 16th minutes, there are a couple spelling mistakes, but it's an executive director search, not searcher. On pages on the front page, and back when it's on page 3. Also on the front page, discussion on Facebook, it's not regrading, it's regarding.
Sorry.
And the other thing I'd like to say is, you have a statement in there that Fosdick excused McIntyre of stirring.
Accused, sorry.
I would like to strike that. As I went back and looked at the tape, I never accused anyone. I said, I think you're bordering on steering. Other than that, I have nothing else.
I don't know if I'm not sure about having to strike that completely since it was in the minutes and it is a function.
I think you have to
but
amend it.
correcting Yeah,
I think you have to just amend it.
right.
I don't know. Jeff?
We did have a discussion after that. So amend it to the proper language. Concern about steering, is that what you said?
The statement would have been Fosdick accused McIntyre of steering.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. You said something, you said it.
I think it borders on steering.
Fosbeck voiced concern about it bordering on steering. So that's what your intent
Yeah,
was.
that would be fine.
I will make the motion that we accept the minutes with the corrections as noted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Old business procurement policy.
I had gone through our procurement policy, and I was to send it out to everybody. However, I did not do that. I am wondering, now that Mark's on board, that I don't know if everybody else went through it. I did. I have lots of areas where, I just kind of want to address, especially the idea that the executive director has the ability to sign for up to $100,000. I think that's too high a limit. I'd like to move that back down but I'm wondering if this is something that I want to send over to Mark, and, or do you want it to go to a finance committee and we make the recommendation? I'm not sure which way we want to do this now. It's not huge redos, but, you know,
I think the policy is real wordy anyway.
it's quite a document, but there are some things where we really, as a board, should be involved. I mean, you know, people shouldn't just be able to kind of say, okay, I can do this. Even in a procurement process, there should be some communication with the board of what those are. That, I think some of the history is because of this policy, I'm able to buy some big purchases, but then that information doesn't ever come back to the board. But anyways, this policy,
I think any procurement over a certain level, $500 or whatever,
$100,000 is, you know, it's like.
should at least be reported.
Anything below that, even if it's like, you know, 90,000, we didn't have to hear about it.
Right.
According to this.
Well, I think the city manager, which has a bigger organization and budget than we have in the Housing Commission, has a limit of about $25,000 before he has to bring it in. And purchases, such as a vehicle, anything over $25,000 has to be approved by city council. So it doesn't necessarily grind things to a halt. When you get into an emergency situation where you have heating or plumbing situations, you need to respond pretty quickly to that. But most things can be dealt with fairly easily through the commission.
Yeah. In one of our discussions, and Jeff also kind of voiced in his experiences working with other housing commissions, usually 30 to 50,000 is where you're at. So even at 30,000, we had a discussion that, you know, that would even cover something emergent possibly, you know, besides an elevator going out, but you know, a heater or something, 25, 30,000, even 40 is good. But maybe what I'll do is scan this into Mark and just let him take a look at it, and then kind of give us his, you know, his thoughts on what I've asked here.
Kevin and Lindsay and Cindy, have you ever had a need for, like, say, even over 10,000 on an emergency basis?
Just during the time that I've been here, no. I mean, as far as acting director, no. So that would be a good.
And that's when the power regulator went out in front of Century Terrace. Ended up getting a big generator and stuff in. I think that was right around 20-ish.
Yeah.
Don't quote me, please, but
No,
I'm
that's
thinking it was 20s.
Yeah.
But that wasn't, that it had to be done that day.
Yeah.
It
But,
was,
yeah, we all have in our operating agreement that we can communicate and vote by email also.
Yeah.
So we're all easily accessible. So I would think maybe Mark can advise. I would think 10,000 personally, but, you know,
I would agree with you.
Kevin said 20,000. So I support having Mark review it and then get back to it, because 100,000 is, yeah.
Too much.
You could buy a house.
Yeah.
Mark,
This is only for the 48 scattered sites
Right,
now.
scattered sites.
yeah, and that was at Century.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, as far as scattered sites, no.
okay, great.
So we can just keep this maybe on our agenda item, as an agenda item, just keep reviewing. I will send these over to Mark for review. And
okay, Mark, are you comfortable with that?
Sure, and if I could just interject, we just went through this process and we had a former HUD consultant or former HUD employee help us through revising our procurement policy. So I'd like you to see what we have too.
Great.
that'd be great.
Okay,
And the limits can be set at whatever you determine necessary as well.
Okay.
okay. Anything else on procurement policy?
No,
That's it.
Move on to personnel policies and procedures.
Because we have been kind of dealing with some issues, we have not been able to formally sit down and get a personnel committee meeting together. But I will meet with Ginny and we can set something up, and then send out the date for anybody else to. Steve, I think, didn't we assign you to this, or was it Jim? I can't even remember. We set up the personnel policy day.
You and I.
You and I thought one more.
No, just you and I.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just you and I.
All right, so we'll do that, and then, because I do, our employee policy, our personnel policies have a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a kind of a work in progress. I've gone through them, I have lots of recommendations, things, as we know, have not been consistently followed. I wanna take away any kind of ambiguous type of language that's in it, and then be more specific in regards to roles and expectations. But Jenny and I will meet, and Jenny, I'll share all my chicken scratch with you.
What about Mark involved in that too, and/or Lindsay?
Lindsay probably has to be there to record that
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
It's up to Mark if he wants to attend that. We'll probably just talk for a while, and then when we get our recommendations, we'd share it with the whole board. And if he wants to, we would share it with him too. And then we can talk as a whole board. The process is completely open. It's whatever we want.
I would agree, there's a lot of changes that need to be done. There are issues that I have with the personnel policies, that things have not been done, and that doesn't mean they don't need to be done and they need to be excluded, but we need to adhere to that policy out of fairness to the employees and to the fiscal responsibility to the commission.
Yes, that's where I think we've gotten caught when we're not following the policy and process as designed. Then it becomes inconsistent, and then there's a question of fairness that comes up. So I think it's everybody, my impression from everybody on this commission is that we're ready to take that back and make it consistent and have it applied consistently moving forward.
I would agree. So we'll just put that on old business for next month.
Yes.
I think I'll be there for quite
Do you have
some
that in
time.
Word document or just Excel, that personnel policy?
I have an Adobe copy. I don't have a Word document. I tried to transfer it into a Word document and it didn't work well. But I can download, scan, and email if you want to see it, Jeff.
No, I have it. I just have it in PDF. I meant not Excel, I meant PDF. So I just didn't know if it's going to be, my thought was if it's just easier to omit and make changes to it if we had it in Word,
Yes.
that'd be great. Or if we just do addendums to it and do amendments to it to reflect.
Yeah.
I don't know what's easiest.
If we had in Word, if we have that, then
Yeah.
I could do a tracking and we can make changes in the document and share. But
I'll look for
Okay.
one and see.
All right. I assume there is a
There should
digital
be.
folder somewhere where all of these are housed, I
Mm-hmm.
assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just know the procurement policy came from a different company. I think we just got a PDF and I tried to convert it and it was not that great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I tried to do that too. Yeah, it was a mess. All right, so we'll just keep that going.
Okay, one thing that, when I met with Mark on Monday, he talked about, salary levels and things like this and whatever, and Mark, if you wanna bring that forward about putting everyone on even keel so they know where their salary levels or pay scales
yes,
are?
Sure. So typically, what you would have is a pay grade table. That's what I would recommend, and I would do a salary study and salary comparability study, which we've used a company called Nelrod the last. We just finished one last year, and they have a data set and they compare salaries HUD requires you every 3 years to do a salary analysis and comparability study. I don't see that there's a pay grade table or there's any equitable sense of compensation. And I would recommend that you would move forward with that, and I could get a proposal for you.
That is one of the things in the personnel policy process that has been omitted for some time and not been addressed. You're right, it is supposed to be done every three to 5 years, it says in our policy. But yeah, that is one of the things that has to be, again, brought forward, discussed, and then it's going to be a cost. So we'll have to come back to the board for the costs on that. But I think it's appropriate. It feels like it's just throwing darts at a board right now.
In 2020, I believe there was a NELROD study. I'll have to review to see where that study was, but it is on the meeting notes from June of 2020 that there was a study done and through NELROD. So.
Yeah, I saw the recent ones that Jeff sent. I noticed that too, and then I also figured out, oh, that's before me, so I started somewhere in 2020.
Yeah, I did look at it. I was like, I don't see anyone
Not on there.
Yeah,
So,
that was
and
How did I miss that?
Just before.
Yeah, because a lot of this, I'm like, how did I miss this stuff? And then I read those meetings, like, oh, I wasn't there. That's how I missed it.
Yeah, and I didn't have time to search for the study, but I did see that was done back then, so.
Maybe what we could do, if possible, if you could search with that when Jenny and I meet, that could be part of our packet to kind of review and also share with Mark. And so we'll constantly looping with Mark on this stuff.
Yeah, let's see what that says first before we. But a study would cost you probably between $1,500 and $2,000.
Okay, anything else on personnel policy? Let's move on to new business. We have financial reports.
Got a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure that I believe them, but
It's the data we have available to us right now.
Cindy, did you want to present these, or?
I haven't even fully reviewed them all since we just received them late Friday night. I had a phone call with one of the accountants from BDO, and she, had some questions and clarifications, and she's still working on figuring everything out and the flow of everything. So we're still looking through and reviewing at this point.
So, I'm trying to get to it here. So
Oh, that's so much.
the basic, find it here,
Look at so much paper.
balance sheet information, are we feeling 90% confident, 5% confident?
What they did was they went through and then mashed up everything to balance with the end of year 21 audit, and they've been making adjustments to that, so. Am I 100% certain? I don't know. No, probably not, but I believe we're getting closer.
Is this normal for it to take this long to?
No.
I think you have the fact that this is a new company, one thing, and then all the layers that are going into this as far as like different properties and setting it all up adds more confusion to it. And then the fact that we had to get year-end items done before, so that was like a big thing that they were working on at the beginning of the year. So it's not normal to have financials come this late, but I think it's hard because we have so many things that are moving to try to get these financials to us, as far as the different properties, all the different types of financials.
She did also tell me, Shay from BDO, now they're getting things more in the flow, and their workload is letting down because they had so much year-end financials to deal with. So for the next few months, they'll be able to get caught up.
So in the next couple months, let's give them a couple months here. Is there a possibility of trucking them over here, making them attend a work session in which we can get a input into what we're looking for, how we expect it to be reported, what they can do, and that's, you know, not everything that we want we'll get, but at least have a discussion. Plus, there's a few of these acronyms and stuff in here that, you know, I'm like, what is that one? You know, so we could just have a work session on our budget, and also that's a time to kind of like hold them accountable.
I know they'd be willing to do a Zoom meeting. I mean, they're in San Diego, so.
Yeah, well, we don't want to truck them over there.
Now we should go to their office.
Board meeting.
We're not paying for them to come here.
No, but we could Zoom, have a work session, and kind of go through I get it, they're new. I get it that, you know, they probably have lots of companies and they're doing end of years and all that different stuff. I get it, but it just doesn't feel as if it's customer friendly. And we're gonna have to make a decision whether or not they're gonna be our go-to or not. And if we let them know that we are not happy and expect more, it might help. I mean, we'll see how they respond.
Right.
And if their response is, well, this is the way we're gonna do it, then it helps to solidify our feelings about, is this the right company for us?
When you look at what they sent, you know, I know you didn't have time to look at, are the numbers typical? Do they scare you, bring concern?
No, they're pretty typical.
Are they?
Like I said, I haven't.
Yeah, I know, you haven't had, I mean, and I appreciate that. We have all experienced a lot of work in the last few months.
Well, just to, let's pertain our questions to the budget or the financials for the 48 scattered sites. CTHV and Riverside are not under this board's
Right, we know that.
approval right now, but if you look at the 48 scattered sites, according to this, we have almost $102,000 in accounts receivables. Who is that?
Oh, that would be our billing to CTHB, 3 months worth.
And do you expect to get paid quickly on that?
Well,
Yes,
it's 3
we're waiting
months.
on a couple voucher payments to come in.
Okay, so they're behind, so it's 3 months. How long, do we have an agreement on how long those payments, when you get into agreements, you kind of can write those in. It's like you will make a, you know, payment within 90 days of billing, if not, you know, 3% interest, you know, whatever.
Right.
Do we have anything that
No,
defines that?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But.
Might be in our contract with them?
CTHB?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that answer.
Yeah, as a company, I'd get a little concerned if I'm not getting paid in 3 months.
I'm the one that cuts the checks. So, yeah, it's for me, to them, and I'm doing all the cutting, so it's just whether or not the bills or the money is there, so.
Now, the other thing under current assets are notes receivable seller. What is that?
Oh, yeah, Mark inquired about that too.
$2.7 million.
Yeah, there's an adjustment that's done, and I believe I sent that to Mark, but it's a loan, CTHB, payable in 2051. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't. I can send you that if you'd like.
So, Steve, can I interject there just a little
Sure.
bit? So, I'm not certain what that is, but I think that is the sale of the 2 high-rises to the partnership through the tax credit conversion process, but I need to confirm that. And if I can just get back to the financials, just a quick comment. So the Housing Commission financials look okay to me. I can't certify their accuracy, but the number that I would look at, and this caught my attention, was the cash of $899,000. So my question is that an actual number? Are we getting the bank statement to confirm that? And I guess that's a Cindy question, and I can ask her that later.
She's
and if it
shaking
is,
her head yes.
Is the answer yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So my concern, I have a little concern about having that much cash in one bank, even though I know it's swept into one account. You know, I tried to really diversify our reserves, and you know, now we're getting 4%, 4.5% CD interest. And if you don't need all that cash sitting available, which I don't think you do, I would certainly consider some other transfers.
Yeah, we only have the
So-
one bank, so, yeah,
Well-
we have 3 other local banks that we could divide that up into, but we
Yeah,
have to do
and I
it.
always like to go to, you know, the FDIC limit, or no greater than each bank,
Right.
except for our checking account.
Yeah, we could divide that up in about 4 banks. Or is there a, like in our system, you know, there are banks that you specialize in working with, like a governmental entity. Is there anything that banks that you work with, Mark, that?
No, not necessarily, but you would require for the public housing funds, a depository agreement, a HUD depository agreement that the banks have to execute, and they pledge their collateral if you go over 250,000, which I'm sure that your current bank's probably done. But if it's swept into a now account every night, I would just be interested in how much return we're getting on that. And if it's sitting there for no good reason. So, and we found one of our local banks would not sign the depository agreement, so then they don't get our funds. So we're required to do that in public housing. And if I could just talk about, maybe, is this a good time to interject about the budget?
Sure.
So, I haven't sorted this through yet, and I haven't taken a deep dive into these financial statements yet, but there is a budget for the Housing Commission, the public housing. It's my understanding there's no budget for Riverside Inc., which is the nonprofit. And I think, Cindy, I asked you that question, right?
Correct.
Right, so I think there should be a budget, and I really think that if there's cash flowing from the nonprofit into the Housing Commission account, I think that budget should reflect that, because how are we tracking all of our expenses, our employee expenses, if the public housing budget is only tracking the 25%? Where's the other 75% being tracked? So I would have a public housing budget that has 100% of the time in the allocation in that budget where the costs are assigned to, if that makes sense to you.
I think I know what you're saying. Like Riverside, which is another division of the Housing Commission.
Yeah.
We don't assign any cost, expenses, or anything to that division. So we don't even know. I don't know if staff are spending 40 hours working in Riverside or 2 hours working in Riverside. So you're saying to have a better accounting of all of
Yeah.
that. All right, I get it.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be clear where, and I think the allocation's already been determined, like 75%, 25%. But I would have because the Housing Commission is still the management agent or the agency of record, I guess would be a better way to term that, for all staff and all expenses, except for the partnership expenses that's getting paid out of the partnership account. But if staff allocations are all coming from public housing, that ought to be tracked, in my opinion.
You know, Mark, I had, in your experience, I mean, I am confused as to why Riverside's even there. Why isn't this a direct why aren't we just using the Manistee Housing Commission? Why is there an establish of another layer in, liability wise? I don't know. I don't understand that.
Yeah, so I think that's another maybe a work session, but that was required to do this tax credit process.
All right, okay.
Yep. Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
why when they do it, they try and have it an instrumentality so all the board members are still directors of this nonprofit, so it's kind of a continuation. But I think Jeannie and Karen were part of it. For some reason, the bylaws omitted, I think 2 commissioners, and I think the reason for that was or 3 commissioners, so there wouldn't be a quorum, so they wouldn't have to be subject to the Open Meetings Act. We have then, I believe that's then been since changed, or it will be changed, because we're trying to have it all be the same and just subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Anything else? The only other thing I can tell you is that the reason why the P&L for March was down was because BDO or someone forgot to put the HUD grant revenue and the rental revenue into that month. They're blank.
Yeah. Stephen, one other comment. I apologize, I didn't mention it earlier. And the billing that's going from the Housing Commission to Riverside to the partnership. The partnership has 50 vacant units right now. So it's not generating, I think the problem is it's not generating enough cash flow because my math, 50 units, and Lindsay or Cindy help me, I don't know what the voucher, the payment standard is, 700 a month, 600?
For individual unit,
Yeah, for the.
690, or no, I'm sorry, 707, and then 916, I think, for a 2-bedroom.
2-bedroom.
We're getting about 40,000 right now, between 40 to 45 voucher.
So if you add those 50 units back into the cash flow situation at, let's just say $700 a month, that's $35,000 more in revenue because the vacancies are there right now that we're not getting, or the partnership is not getting. So they don't have the resources. I'm speculating, I haven't taken a deep dive into it, but I think that's part of the issue right now.
Oh, I would agree, Mark, but I was commenting on the 48 scattered sites. They forgot to put.
No, I know. Well, when you're talking about that accounts receivable and accounts payable stuff, I think that's directly related to that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The only other question I have on the financials, and this really isn't a financial question, but we have a domestic violence grant. Do we have, a couple houses that are set up as DV houses or something? Mm-hmm. Is it 2, 3?
We have 3.
3, okay.
How many are there?
3.
Because I thought there was 4 originally.
I've always known of 3.
Okay.
And they are all occupied right now?
Correct.
And Kevin, you maintain those too?
Yes.
You do the lawn mowing and all the?
No.
No?
Lawn mowing is on the
Resident?
resident.
Are the utilities on the resident too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Isn't it a percentage though?
No, this program doesn't give a utility allowance.
Oh, all right.
And do they sign a lease?
Yep.
They do a normal lease and then?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are the tenants paying rent also?
Yes,
And it's based on their income or?
correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a time limit on their residency or?
Nope, it's permanent housing. So,
They just have to be someone that's experienced domestic violence in their life.
correct.
Okay. Anything else on financials? Okay, let's move on. Reports and communications. Seeing as there's no presentation, executive director report. Mark?
Sure.
Lindsay?
So, and Lindsay, please jump in at any point in time. So we did find and confirm, and I think that was maybe sent out to you, that the FDS schedule was submitted to HUD, which was a concern that I had. So it was done prior or prior to the deadline. There is a problem though. The audit, I spoke with last year's auditor just yesterday, Andy Zink. He is not engaged for this year, which is kind of a problem because we're coming up on a June 30th deadline to get our audit submitted to the state of Michigan and a September 30th submission to HUD. HUD's more important than the state. I hate to miss deadlines. The state will send us a letter if we don't meet that requirement. And then, they'll ask, I think they send it to the city as well. And they'll ask questions and want to know when it's going to be submitted. So I asked Mr. Zink, and Lindsay, I think I copied you on the email.
Yes.
I was unsure if he was interested again in doing it. He was procured, I think, the last time in 2018. So we really don't have the time to go through a procurement process. So towards the end of the conversation, I asked him if he would be interested in at least submitting a proposal for this year. And I followed that up with an email. And Lindsay, have you heard anything from him?
I have not.
I have not. My suspicion is he may not reply. I have a backup source, and it would be, and it's an auditor that we use that's done Big Rapids, Everett, Reed City. They're very good. There's not a lot of folks that specialize in auditing in this industry. That's one of the problems. So I guess my recommendation, if we don't hear from Mr. Zink, and I think he would be the preferred one, by the way, just because he went through the process. He knows the Housing Commission. He knows that, you've separated assets, and I think he's worked on that process. But I'm not sure he's interested.
So he said his contract expired?
No, he's not engaged. Typically, Jeff, I think 2018, I think was the last time it was procured. And usually that's a 3-year engagement.
Yeah, we did last year.
Yeah, I know. So he was ambivalent about when the last time any procurement happened. And Cindy found that the last time any correspondence about an engagement was 2018, and it was just an engagement letter. It wasn't even, I don't know that there was a procurement process followed. So I'm not sure. This, my concern is we're coming up on some deadlines, and to get an auditor in time, it's going to be problematic.
Well, I propose we go with the guy you're suggesting. I mean, is Zink, because of his relationship with the former director, is that what his deal is, or did he say?
He was here. He did that.
Yeah,
He did that presentation.
he did the presentation, before the end of the year, or January, I don't remember which.
I think it was in November.
Well, November.
That would have been last year's audit, I think.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to get in trouble with HUD or anybody. We got our own problems right now. I say, can you pursue looking into the auditor who you suggested a minute ago?
Yeah, it's Smith and Klaskevitz from Saginaw, just for the record.
Okay.
And we can use the piggyback on that one, and then we can just submit an RFP for the years going forward, and have it either be I've seen it be 1 or 2 year term with renewals at the election of the Housing Commission for a period up to 3 years, and then you have to do a new one. But this has got to get done.
Right.
Yeah, we could, at the same time, Lindsay, you can send another message or give a call to Mr. Zink, and it's like, hey, we just want to make sure you do not want to do this, and
Okay.
and we're fine with that. We're just moving on, and then do exactly what Jenny said at the same time. You know, find this other person, and do our procurement, and then do an RFP moving forward.
Yep. Yep. Typically, Jeff, we would do a 1 year, we'd ask for a 1 year proposal with 2 optional years.
As the RFP?
Yeah, on an RFP.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I've seen some auditors decline the option to renew.
Is that right? It's a different animal. There's just not a lot of auditors out there, and the big firms won't do it because they don't do public housing, and the cost is so prohibitive for them to learn the process. They typically decline us.
Another job opportunity.
Yeah.
No, it's a big opportunity.
Big.
Anything else, Mark?
Yeah, yes, for sure. So I think that was the most important thing. And Lindsay brought this to my attention. The labor agreement with the steelworkers is expiring on August 24th of 23, and they've requested some information from us, some basic information about benefits prior to starting negotiations. So the 3-year contract's expiring. I don't know how you want to handle that as far as setting up a bargaining committee.
It's
or if you want to
personnel.
handle it.
Yeah.
Personnel handles that.
Personnel committee.
Okay, and I'd be happy to help on that. I have some thoughts too, so.
Are all the,
I did,
is everybody part of that? All the employees part of the union?
Oh, not all the employees, no.
Just maintenance.
Oh, okay.
Yep, just the maintenance staff.
We will, on that work session for personnel committee, we will put the union contract negotiations on that too, so that we can keep that on our focus.
I did email you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what I can't remember what I put in there. I don't know if it was the previous contract, the updated letter and stuff like that. If you need anything more, let me know.
Yeah, I was reading through it.
And Karen, I'll be glad to come up for that meeting too. We'll schedule when I can be in town. Cindy confirmed that the partnership tax returns were done. But I think, pretty well confirmed that there's been no 990 tax returns for the nonprofit or for the for-profit entity. So that's a concern. I think we have until May 15th for the 990, or we'll request an extension typically. So that's something I'm trying to find, with your permission, find an accountant to submit those tax returns. We can't find, in my search on Friday, we can't find where there's ever been a tax return done for the nonprofit. And I think it was created in 21. So there should have been a 21 return. Now we have a 22 return. So that's just something on the radar that we need to be aware of, because the IRS typically will give you one pass. I mean, you beg them for forgiveness once, and then there's no more forgiving, in our experience. And let's see, we were talking today with Cindy and Lindsay, more Cindy, about we need an authorizing official from the Housing Commission. I think Karen started working on that to certify the staff so we can draw down money. And it's a convoluted process. And I had some of our staff from Big Rapids on the phone talking about that, because we just went through that in a couple instances. So we're going to help you through that process.
Did I not do something?
Nope, you're just fine, Karen. I think we just need the updated letter, right, Cindy?
Didn't I the notarized one?
Yeah, you submitted the first letter, and I sent that to our HUD rep to review, and she said, no, this will come back, because I think I listed you as treasurer, but they don't like the word treasurer. And so they told me I had to put board member, just to specify that you're a board member.
And you sent that back out? I think I might have deleted it because I thought it was the same thing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll resend it.
Okay, and I'll get it re-notarized.
Thank you.
Bring
so
it over. Yeah, no problem. Sorry about that. It was just 300
So,
emails.
Karen, what that would do is then you would be the authorizing official on behalf of the board to authorize staff access to the financial systems to draw down operating fund and operating subsidy.
Yeah.
So, Steve, that's all I had under my notes.
Okay. Staff reports. Any staff reports?
I just had one thing. We've been looking at different options for healthcare insurance for our staff. The healthcare provider that we currently have is just a little bit high for us, and so we're looking at different options. It'll benefit benefit us, and then also benefit the Housing Commission. So we talked to Mark about different options of what they have, and we also have been in communication with someone from Cadillac, Mark Sessions, regarding different plans and stuff. So I just want the board to kind of know that that will probably be coming up soon, because that needs to be a board approval and
Great.
stuff. But
Thanks for taking the initiative and looking into it.
Do we handle that through personnel committee, or is that just a full board?
Actually, that could go to personnel because it's part of your benefit packet, which is part of your personnel policy.
Then the board would just do an approval vote.
So you do like a request, like we do priority, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and, like get 3 or 4 together and then have them do a comparative. Do you have, we have Michigan planners who pulls all that together. Here, I think the city has 44 North or something like that. It is a company that will manage your healthcare stuff. I'm not really sure if being as small as we are, if that's an advantage to us or not.
I want to say Mark does that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
So,
that's
yeah.
your person in Cadillac.
Yep.
Okay, so he'll pull all the,
Yep. We've had a few meetings with him, and just kind of, Cindy and I have met with him at least twice now. And then we had a full staff meeting with him, looking at all the plans and stuff like that for everyone. It's a lot of information to go through and stuff. So we just want to make sure it's the right plan for everyone.
Yep.
And then I've also heard that you can have different plans for every family. You don't have to stick with certain ones. So that's something that we're all looking into. Because right now it's the same for family. It's the same for, member and additional, and then the same as a single. So
same price across the board?
it's the same price for if you were a family.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the makeup or age or anything. And then there's a different price for member and like spouse or, and then there's an individual plan. So like when Mark and I were talking, there's tons of options out there where it can be personalized to your own family and stuff. So more cost effective for everyone involved.
Okay. That is something that probably, when you do your salary studies, it is always a good practice to go out and look at health plans too. 2 to 3 years, some do 1 year. We tied into it. I think we're in a 3-year contract, but we do evaluate on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another big nightmare.
It is, but it's worth going into.
Yeah. For the staff, it is a good outcome.
Anything else from staff?
I did have a conversation with the forensic auditor this morning, and that went very well. I just sent over a few more requested items, and he appreciated, how quick I've been, and really, I've been quick, I know. But, so that was nice to hear, and just made it sound like they'd be wrapping it up
Good.
shortly.
Good.
Okay, good.
Been looking forward for that.
Yeah.
Commissioner reports. Karen, you want to start?
Yeah, well, there's nothing to report. We've just been meeting as a commission. We haven't been able to get the other meetings
Yeah.
together.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Kevin, the elevator, does that mean, is that good news that there's the trucks in town and?
Yeah, I mean, he's been coming up. I had to call him this morning because there was a small issue with one of them, and he's got that straightened right out. It was drywall dust plays havoc on him.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And that's the big issue he's having, but now he's getting everything cleaned up. The little elevator's been behaving itself, that big one, it gives us a kick every now and again.
But they're both operating?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's exciting.
Yep, and.
We should have had a ribbon cutting.
Well, wasn't
I wanted to.
the overhaul CTHV
Yeah.
supposed to replace both those elevators?
They replaced now, 3 years ago, I believe, Steve, we had all the electronics done, but we made sure when they did these that it was gonna be compatible with the remodel. Now they replaced all the machines, the inside of the cars. They did not replace the mechanism for the cars because they said that was stupid to do. And it's just rollers, get drywall dust and stuff and hang up and stuff like, on that basis, and that's what the pains we're going through right now until all this gets lubed and cleaned and done again, and once that's all done, we should be good to run.
Have you turned on the makeup air system yet?
No, we haven't. Oh, Harborview, yes.
That'll be your next batch of dust coming through.
You're not looking at turning that on. I just got word the other day till July, August,
Oh, okay.
because of the electrical changeover to the new room with all the new panels and everything.
Okay.
I talked to Blaine the other day, and he said the new generator, the one for Harborview, is actually sitting in Grand Rapids, but it got lost. And he was
Okay.
trying to hunt that down, and Sentries was supposed to be shipped like the 7th of next month. But he says every time he calls for an update, they keep pushing it.
Anything else?
Kevin, and I'm not picking on Kevin. Kevin, you had mentioned at one of our meetings, the kind of a frustration about not, if you're called for an emergency, you have to go all the way over and get the truck. And is that something that we could look into, is he could have a truck available to him 24 hours? Because if it's a real emergency and he's got to drive all the way over here from where he lives and back.
It's been this way for 11 years.
I know, but I like change. I like change, Kevin. I'm just thinking of the frustration of it, like,
It does get frustrating.
yeah,
because
I don't know. I think I'd like to bring it up as something that we think about and work on, to maybe.
Actually, it's funny you brought it up because I was gonna bring it up in negotiations.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was gonna say, that might be something, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that.
Yeah, but anyway, I appreciate the frustration that he must be having on that, and,
Fall under perks, which would be the right place for,
Yeah.
in negotiating.
yeah.
So, yeah, we can address that.
Okay, and then Lindsay, I see in our notes that continued work with consultants on the applicants, and so how are we doing on that? Is that, I mean, I know when your other job.
For the board or for the applicants for housing?
For the housing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I want applicants for housing first, and then I was gonna ask about the board.
Applicants for housing is going good. We have the consultants from Rally Services coming next week to do a mass move, 24th through the 29th. We need to average anywhere from 5 applications a week to be able to kind of hit the mark. And we were doing that. It has slowed down. So I'll make, the comment and out there to the public. If you know someone that needs housing and is low income, make sure they're applying.
Okay.
So that we're on track for the first part of the moves, for the big next move that we have lined up at the end of this month. So.
And is there an outside box or something for them to pick up an application?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Kyle, put that down, will you please? Thank you. All right, and then we still have 3 applicants to potentially join us. We have 4 people who want to join us.
Yes. So I believe there's 4 applications that are filled out correctly, I guess is the best way. There are 2 that I feel that they just filled out the application because residents unfortunately have been receiving a lot of paperwork, and I think they just filled it out and sent it in. So, I mean, I will definitely forward those off if they're serious about it. One does say on there that they don't want to volunteer for anything, so I don't think that they're serious about it, but they did fill one out.
The wrong commission for them.
Right, so I will make sure that those are all sent over, but I think there's 4 that have filled out the complete application.
So then that's the May city council meeting when that will be brought up, correct?
Yep.
May 2nd?
I have to get with Heather. I can't remember when we decided
Okay.
when it was.
I did bring this up to Lindsay, that I think that this is something we're in the middle of. We don't make the appointment to
I
the
know.
board, so I think this is something that these should be going to the city, and the city should manage these.
Yeah, but the mayor does the appointment with
The city council.
the support of the council,
Right.
correct? Right.
Yeah, so this is us collecting them, and I mean, it's really inappropriate that we even have our hands on it.
We don't have our hands on it.
Well, they're coming to us. They come to us.
I didn't see one.
Well, come to the.
They come to Lindsay.
Oh, come to Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah.
They should go to the city.
Okay.
Because it's a city assignment. That's how I.
Yeah, and that's when I got on, that's where it went to the city. Interesting.
The city received one the other day and then forwarded it off to me. So I was like, oh, okay, thank you. I
Okay.
just have in a binder. I
Okay.
mean, they put them in. So
All right.
Moving forward, if we have any other, we'll talk about this process with Bill and say, since we
Yeah.
are not in the middle, since we are not making the appointments, we think it's a better
Yeah.
process to
just
have
go-
these go to the city for review, because how do they know? I mean, we want it to be the up and up, and so how do they know? Well, people come later and say, well, I sent one in, and
Yeah.
we could be accused of maybe filtering through them. I just don't think it's appropriate that we be in the middle of this.
Right.
at
I
all.
would agree.
And one more question, Lindsay or Kevin or whoever. How's the community room coming on?
Good?
good.
Open?
Ish.
They are getting it ready. I wanted it ready for the mass moving because that's where they're going to be doing it.
Yeah.
I know there's furniture and stuff like that down there. I don't know as far as there might be some issues, punch list items that need to be addressed.
But we're close.
Very close. I did let the construction team know they moved their office into the sunroom, and I let them know that as soon as this sunroom or this room gets done with our mass move-in, I'm opening it up to the residents. So you need to move your office out of there, or we're not responsible or liable for your items. So they moved it out.
Yeah,
for me,
good,
so.
good.
Commonwealth is sending us 3 brand new 50-inch TVs, 2 for Century, 1 for Harborview for the community rooms.
Oh, good.
We do have cable at Harborview. We do not have cable boxes at Century, so that might be something we want to think about getting them so that they would have cable TV in there.
Because how else would it operate?
It would. I mean, we could put a VCR DVD in there.
Thanks for the donation.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Roku stick.
maybe we could spend a little money on cable.
Basic cable.
Basic.
Basic. I mean, that's what
Wi-Fi there, right?
Harborview's
Do we
got.
have to vote on that?
I think we have a charter cable contract already.
We do.
Yeah, it's Harbor.
But Harvard.
Well, no, at Century Terrace also.
We've used charter at both places.
So just activate
I think
it.
it was just a matter of shutting it down while
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
COVID
Activate it.
So you guys can reactivate it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Can I make a suggestion in regards to reports and communications? First, you have the executive director report. I would recommend that we put B, the administrative manager report, so that Mark has a spot on the consent to provide us information when he's attending,
Okay.
and then just go on down to the rest. So we have a dedicated space for him.
Okay.
I have one more thing. I don't know if, I don't know
You know,
what I'm.
some of us have to work, Ginny.
Yeah, I know, I do. I just want to let you know I will not be here for June 15th meeting, so I want to let you know ahead of time, so if we need to discuss in May about adjusting that schedule.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim, do you have anything?
No.
The only thing that I have is I want to get out of this gobbledygook so we can start focusing on residents.
Yeah.
And we want to make people proud of what they have and whatever we can do or have to do to make them proud. I think that we have a lot of problems with the construction, but hopefully they'll work themselves out. But it's the residents we're all here for. It's not the financials, it's not Commonwealth, it's not anything else, it's the residents, and I want to get back to that. So that's all I have.
Wow.
All right.
Public comment.
All right.
Nobody for public comment? Okay, we will now go into closed session. And I think I found this out. We can go back there if people want to stay out here, because when we come back out of closed session, I know at our last meeting here last week, we came back out and made an announcement, and there was no one here. We
not
actually
sure.
voted.
The only thing with that is that Mark or Jeff won't be able to join because there's no,
You have to have Jeff.
yeah.
Okay.
So.
And I would think that we have to have Mark too.
Yeah, we can shut the doors if that's what people, if they want to stick around for the end of it. Closed session with all commissioners in attendance and Lindsay, Mark, and
Jeff.
Jeff. I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have to use the restroom.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I know.
Make a motion to reverse the suspension of Clinton and to allow our attorney to write him a letter, send him a letter noting that he's off his suspension and disciplinary action will follow.
I second.
All in favor? Well, roll call vote.
Roll call. Steve
Yes.
Fonsteck,
Yes.
Yes.
Jim Smith,
All in favor?
Karen Goodman,
Yes?
Jean
Yes.
Patton.
Now I'll make a motion for I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
I gotta rush too.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, sorry guys, thank you.